Hey, hello, welcome everyone to the show today. It's another live, and we're coming in, and we've got a good one booked in for today for you. If this is your first time, by the way, of coming across my horrible voice or perhaps face and image, what a start. Then thank you, welcome. We want to welcome as many people as we can. We want to grow, we want to help and support everybody. The whole purpose of what we're doing here, the whole reason why we're here with you, which, by the way, is an absolute privilege to be here with you. But the reason that we're doing this at all is to help you to get the people element in your business right. That's whether you're obviously an employer or whether you're a manager. We're here every Thursday on all social media channels to help you get your people right in your business and to help you to grow your business and to help you to have a successful team behind you in your business. That's our kind of privilege to be here to drive you towards that. If you are listening back, by the way, this is provided on a Friday through our podcast. So thank you very much if you are subscribing onto our podcast and listening. Equally, for those of you that are watching live or are watching back on a recorded version, and in actual fact, you'd find it easier to listen to rather than to watch, please head over to our podcast. It's the HR Man, available wherever you get your podcasts from. Boom, done. I'm getting there. The more we do, the better that introductory part goes. So thank you so much for coming back to us and joining us. Just a continuation from the last messages and the last one that we did. So of lives, that is, just to clarify. My God, I did so well and then went crashing straight down. So today, our show is about how to hire the right staff, how to get the right people into your business. There's so many ways in which you can get the wrong people into your business, right? We want to focus how you can get the right people. And this is really, oh God, this is so important. Because we always talk about you can't do this shit alone, right? You can't do this journey. You can't do everything on your own. You need people behind you to be able to help you. You need to have a team there to help and support you. You can't do it alone. And there's a value in that team because it's that team and those people that are going to drive you and your business further forward. So important, right? Well, if these human assets, these human resources, that's what HR is, not human remains. Yeah, no, human resources, bomb, crash, burn. Human resources, it's about your human assets. It's the human beings in your business. And they're just like every other asset in your business, that they are fundamentally important to drive your business forward to success. The biggest difference with human beings is, like we always say, it's not like just turning on and off a light switch. We are complex beings. We're complex animals, creatures of nature. We are unique. We are different. And every single one of us is different to previously and before. And you can't treat one the same as the other. We're also the biggest and most expensive asset in your business. And getting it right, getting this asset correct into your business, why we're here, it's what we're talking about, is going to help move that dial. Remember, what we want to do through all of these things, this isn't just kind of a free-for-all, me taking my time on a Thursday to come to you and just go, blah, blah, blah. It's to try and help move the dial in your business. So our mission is to help all businesses, underline, tripling, and bold, all businesses to succeed and to grow. And we know that the strength of the people in every single one of your businesses is what's going to help you to succeed and do that. And we know our skills lies in helping you to get the people element in your business right. And if we want to help all businesses, well, I need to extend beyond just our client base, and I need to come to you here as well and give you these free tidbits and try and help move the dial in your business. And, you know, completely honest here, hopefully in the future, when you're at that stage and you have those individuals in your team, you will come back to us to help and support you as one of our clients to help you to achieve that growth and get the people in your business correct. Take that off your plate and put it on ours. That's what I want to do. Entirely up to you. But that's the purpose. So the key here is people are going to be, oh my God, so important. And, getting the wrong person into your business, I think we spoke about this in the last show, to be fair, but getting the wrong person in your business, one bad apple, absolutely 100% will spoil the bunch. It takes one person to swallow all your time, impacts on your culture, impacts on everybody else, lower your standards, and take you into a kind of a free fall downwards. You want to make sure you're trying to avoid getting those bad apples into your business. And that's what we want to talk about today, is how do we get the right people in? And how do we keep those right people in is probably something for the future, but how do we get them through the door? How are we bringing and attracting these people to come and work with you? How are we doing that? What is it that we need to do and what is it we need to look at? So that's the purpose of today's show. So got a few bits to go through here, and I want to break it down in this particular fashion. So I thought about this one, and compared to others, by the way, if you see any behind the scenes stuff, it is a free-for-all. There is less of a plan on this than there is on anything else. We've got a subject title, and then boom, I'm into it. So none of this is scripted. There's none of that that's taking place. So with this, I've actually done a little bit more forethought and planning. Maybe tip for the next one, Mike. Right? So I've got a couple of elements I want to go through. And there's a methodology. God, there's a methodology in the way that I structured that, because it's going to go through, recruitment isn't, there's a beginning to an end kind of, or a middle. And that's the process we want to go through. So I want to kind of break it down in that particular way and go through what I think we need to focus on in the right segment, in a linear fashion. Told you I wasn't scripted. Couldn't even remember the word linear. So anyway, so the first one I want to look at is, why is recruitment so bloody hard? Missed the word bloody there. Whoops, my bad. But why is recruitment so hard? Why is it so difficult? One of the things I was looking recently, and it's like something crazy. There's over 1 million odd kind of vacancies at the moment in the UK that are out there at the moment as we speak. And roughly, give or take by a couple of thousands here or there, or the odd 100,000 one side or the other, you've got this roughly similar sort of numbers of people on the unemployment list. People that are unemployed, not those that are actually completely out of the job market. So people that are unemployed, technically, realistically, are looking for employment. Those people, right? Now, when you get to that particular state, and obviously the levels of unemployment are low at the moment in time, the number of vacancies are high. That's the topsy-turvy world that we're living in. It means it's a picker's market in terms of when it comes to recruitment. People, have more choice as to where they want to go and work than maybe they have done in previous years, which is great for them, but difficult for us as employers in trying to get the right people for us. Now, what I would say to most of you is there's a misnomer about that stat. It's important to show how difficult the marketplace is. And I think that is important. But there is a misnomer around that stat. And that is the likelihood that in your business, and this isn't for everyone, for some people, you will find those people there. But the likelihood that the people you're looking for to come and fill that vacancy in your business right now, being in the unemployment line, is low. Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm being quite negative here, and hit me up in the comments if you want and shoot me down. But we are scraping the barrel somewhat here. Okay, there are people in the unemployment list. There are great people that are in there that will be able to do work, and there are people that potentially, personally, I feel may not want to do very much work, and that's their choice. So they make that choice. For us, though, we're looking for the right person or people to come and work in our business, and that's your choice. That's where your determining factor comes in. But you've got to get out of the concept that there's someone sitting on a couch somewhere waiting for your email to drop and drop an advert to them to say, hey, apply here, come and work with us. It doesn't work always that particular way. And what I would say is what you need to start getting your head around is the majority of people that we're trying to hire into our posts are employed elsewhere in another business somewhere else. They're already in a job that's paying them money. So what we need to do is entice those people to get out of their comfort zone and to leave where they are and come and work for you. And that is a much harder obstacle than it is to take someone who has no income and is on the unemployment list. Those two things, they're not the same. They're not the same. And that's why when we go through this kind of lazy process of recruitment, of thinking, I mean, I said last week about obviously, paying someone's enough money, paying them to do a job, that should be enough to guarantee they do the job. Don't know where, by the way, if anybody else has any better impressions, feel free. But at the end of the day, that's kind of the mentality we get. It's a lazy mentality as employers, as businesses. That's lazy. And we do the same thing in recruitment. We get lazy. We think we put an advert out. Maybe fantastic one. Bakery near where we work, where the offices are based here in Fareham. Bakery, they just stick an advert up in their window. And that's great because the customers that are coming into the bakery are seeing that. And you may get the small fry amount of people that will come in that would be interested, or know someone that might be interested, or could pass that message on to somebody else. That may happen. But you're not really getting that message out there. You're not really advertising the role. And that's the key thing. It's the same thing as marketing in a lot of respects. When you've got a job vacancy, you need to advertise the vacancy. And, just putting it out there in the window and hoping for the best is maybe not the best strategy. But you've got to think outside the box in terms of that strategy, including if you're putting it out onto a job board. Maybe you're using an agency that's helping you with this as well. But at the end of the day, you've got to think outside of that box. You've got to think about, how am I going to entice somebody who's potentially reading this? They may be the person that's thinking, I'm looking for that next step. I'm looking for another challenge. I'm keeping my options open, and I get these emails through from the last time I went through trying to get a job, whenever the hell that was, and I still get these updates, and I check them out every now and then and see what's there. You've got to entice somebody with a reason to get up their backside and come and work for you. That's the mentality shift you've got to get to. This isn't a case of, people will just want to naturally come and work for me. Forget it. Forget that. That is lazy kind of thought process in terms of as a businessman, in terms of as an owner, as a manager. It's just lazy, because at the end of the day, you've got to think bigger. And if you go down that particular road and you start off in that particular way, and we'll see this as we go through the other bits here, but if you go down that particular road to start off with, the likelihood of you finding what would actually be the right caliber person into your business and hiring them is a pick and mix. It's a chance game. So you might do, of course, you might do. A broken clock is right twice a day, for example. You might fall and slip and find a good candidate. Great, excellent. But there's no solid direction to try and help increase those odds. Because the thing is with recruitment, it's no proven kind of, it's a process that is, subject to failure. It's not fail proof in this process. So you thinking of things like interviews, it's the best mechanism we have for what we got to do to measure if it's the right person to come and work with us. Sure, it is. Does that mean that you can't actually take someone on from a recruitment process and find out actually they were pretty shit afterwards when you start asking them to do what they told you they're going to do? An interview process is a sales process. It doesn't mean that you're going to get the best product. So you've got to roll with those chances, and you've got to manage it in an effective way. And what I'm trying to say is, if you don't take, the mentality shift here, that potentially trying to entice someone away out of their comfort zone to come and work for you, then you're going to go through a lazy process and probably end up getting the wrong person in the wrong role in the wrong business. That's what we see in every single business we come across. There are pockets, if not now because they're too young, but as they grow, they'll have pockets of the wrong person in the wrong role in the wrong business. Those three things, okay? Or perhaps the wrong person in the wrong role, okay? So we want to help to kind of give you a better opportunity through this. This is the thought process. This isn't saying, nailed on, that's it. From now on, you're going to be able to hire the right person every time, 100%, no problem. They're going to stay with you. You're going to have these long-term relationships with these people. It's going to be fantastic, and you're going to be living a dream. It's amazing, right? No, that's not the case. We can't give a guarantee. You can't. There are no guarantees in this process, right? But what we want to do is we want to increase your chances and give you the opportunity to increase your chances to A, attracting those people in the first place, and B, then recruiting the right individuals rather than the wrong individuals into your business. We want to imagine that when it comes to this whole recruitment shindig and everything else, I put it into the analogy that if I was looking for someone, my most prized assets in my life are my children, my two girls. They're massively important to me. Would I let anyone, any Tom, Dick, and Harry, come and babysit my children? Not that they're getting older now, so they probably don't need it. But would I, especially when they were younger, would I just let anybody come in and do that? No, I wouldn't. I'd take a little bit more of a methodical process to make sure that I'm getting the right person to come in and to do that babysitting to a degree. I'd want to know them. I'd want to have some kind of rapport, relationship, and everything else with them so that I can go through that process and feel safe and secure that the individual I've taken on to look after my most prized assets in my life is a good person that's going to actually take care of them. And it should be the same thing in your business or in your teams. This is fundamentally your little baby. This is your important asset. You don't just want any Tom, Dick, and Harry to come in and start looking after it. You don't want to feel like I've got to take anybody on. You know, I'm scraping the barrel. I'll take anybody because a body's better than nobody, right? Yeah, no, it's not. So we want to make sure that you recognize this process is hard. The marketplace that we're in is hard. And there's a reason why it is hard. And once you get that shift in your mind, then you'll have a better focus on what maybe you think you need to do to be able to get the people you want to attract into your business. And one of the things that I think people don't do very often, and I'm going to caveat this in a minute. I know people are going to read this, but I want to think about when you look at marketing, you build a client avatar, an avatar of the client or desirable clients, the market, the people you're looking to target, to hit, to be able to build your business that you want to communicate with, right? One of the common themes from experience, from working with, God knows, countless numbers of businesses when they're going through these recruitment processes is you go in and you have a job description, you have a person specification, and then the manager has a gut feel what it is they're kind of looking for. Okay. And one of the fail processes of that is that it's based on an instinct. And of course, that's going to play a part, right? But you want to have a little bit more of an idea, especially if it's more than just you on that panel, what it is we're actually looking for today. You know, if I'm going to a car auction, am I getting any car? Are we just getting one that can move? Or does it have to be a specific color? That's a bad analogy. Or does it have to be a specific kind of model? What is it we're looking for? What are we shopping for here? What are we trying to get? And why are we trying to get that? We should be building up an avatar of the kind of person that we're hiring. Now, the caveat comes into play here. So HR alarms going off like, right? So no, you don't want to put in your avatar what sex they are, religion, ethnicity, and all that stupid nonsense. Leave that out of it. It's got no part to play in that process. Obviously, that's not what we're talking about here. So just to caveat that, we're talking about you're looking for experience. Do they need a set kind of qualification? What kind of character are you looking for? What kind of personality would fit best within the team that you've already got? How are you going to measure that through the process that you're going through? Do they need to have a particular type of skill set? If they do have that skill set, do you want it to come from a particular type of background? So here's another example. Working in HR, when we're hiring an HR consultant or an HR advisor into our team to help and support our clients, there is one absolutely fundamental element that we have to that is you have to be at least a level 5 CIPD qualified And you have to have experience and background in managing employee relations caseloads. And then we can build on that on other bits and pieces that are desirable. Now that's quite important, because that's the caliber of individual that we would need within that team to do some of the doing, the functionality. But then we also need to look at the person themselves and measure them and see if they are the right person to do the job as well. We'll come on to that in a minute. But you need to build that avatar. You need to have an idea that when you're walking into the interview processes, when you're going through the recruitment process, what is it you're looking for? You're looking to buy something. What is it you're looking to buy? Have some idea of it. Having more than just a job description and a person specification will certainly be helpful. And it will certainly be helpful for those other people that are on your team that are there to help you to hire these particular people. Okay. Remembering, again, anyone's been through these processes, you do get the serial people that fill in anything and apply for everything. No matter what qualification, skills level, anything it is, they'll go for it. They'll go. You'll get people that are in that pile of people that are unemployed. Some of them might be right, some of them might be wrong. And then you'll have the people that are the looky-loos, some people that are genuinely looking for a new kind of opportunity, people that are in employment that are looking for another role that will be coming forward. And you want to make sure that from this whole list of people, and hopefully, we're talking about more than one or two people, but the people that do come forward, that you can measure them against some kind of yardstick and see whether it's someone that is suitable for the role. And you should also, this is just a sideline, by the way, but it is always good practice. You've got to remember things like discrimination can take place. Hence why I wanted to caveat that stuff out. Discrimination can take place even if that person's not employed by you. Just get that put into perspective. You could be going through a recruitment process, not hire somebody, and have directly or indirectly discriminated against them through that process if you're not careful, right? Now, you should be, as you're going through this, scoring what you're doing. So you should be taking track of, if I'm asking questions, you should be measuring. Remember, it's what great looks like. Your 0s to 5s, score them out that process, have some kind of criteria in place, score them individually, and then say what the bare minimum score is to qualify for someone to be considered, not to give them, to be considered as employable into the role. Okay? So you should be doing that. That's your documentation. That's your fail safe. We always say document. Everything's always in threes. Document. So you can prove why you've gone through that particular process, why that person's the candidate you're going for, and you can be a bit more subjective as to then looking at whether it's the right person to meet the criteria of the avatar that you're looking at. You need to have some idea, some image of what it is that you're looking for as a person to do that role. Again, caveating not any of the other discriminatory stuff. Clearly, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the type of person to do that role. And that's looking at skill sets. That's looking at them as a person. That's looking at the qualifications. That's looking at the background. If you were to take anybody, close your eyes, and you're guaranteed you're going to put your hand on pointing the right person for that job, what would they look like in terms of their background, experience, and everything else? What would come with that? What would they have? Who would they be? So that's what we want to have. We want to have some kind of determination as to who it is that we're taking on. Having some forethought, having some planning and preparation behind that process will help us to make sure that as much as possible, remember, it's not foolproof. So as much as possible, we are selecting the right person for that role. Okay, so that's really fundamentally important. Then, if he can get his mouse to work, there we go. You got to remember, now the problem with this is when you're going through an interview process, obviously, individuals are selling to you why you should come and hire them. So if I'm going for a job interview, then I'm thinking, how can I best upsell myself to the best of my capabilities to get myself through the door and into that job, either on the probationary period or whatever the case, right? That's what I want to do. I want to make sure that I'm able to sell myself, because that's what this is. It's a sales process. I'm selling to you, you're selling to me, and we've both got to buy one another. That's what happens. It's a relationship, it's the same thing. So from your side, I think what happens from experience, again, the amount of times that I see individuals and business owners and managers just going through the process. They're just going through the steps, they're ticking the box, they're filling in the things, and they're doing some kind of score based on God knows what. Or sometimes they're not even doing any of that stuff, right? They're just doing it from gut instincts as what to think is right or wrong. There's no record of anything, right? Now, I've seen that happen extensively. And it comes back to that mentality that, that kind of, I'm giving you something. I'm doing you a favor. You should be appreciative of me offering you a job and want to naturally, of course, come and work here. But the problem is, like we've already just established, hence why we're doing it in this linear fashion today. But the importance here is you've got to remember you're taking someone most likely out of their comfort zone, where they already are, where they're already earning money, where they're already working and have a job, and you're trying to entice them from that comfort zone and that to come and work with you. You're unknown. Although you may have some kind of presence on social media, you might be a little bit better known than other businesses, but it's still relatively, in the grand scheme of things, a known quantity. I've never worked with you before, most likely. So what is your environment like? Remember the 5 things that people come and choose why they'll work with someone. Money, number 1, we'll take it off. There's 4 others, right? Environment could definitely be one. The people that I'm going to be working with, the location, all these other bits and pieces will come into play, right? You need to entice me. As well as me being here, trying to sell myself to you, you equally need to sell yourself to me to entice me to come and work for you. Because as well as you, I could be having other interviews. Perhaps I'm just trying to keep my skills up on interview techniques. And I would always say to people, never turn down an interview. There's always a value for keeping that skill set and renewing it. And you only get better at it the more you do. So at the end of the day, if you're not looking at taking the job on, you get an interview, go to the fucking interview is what I'd always recommend for individuals. Go ahead and do that interview. Put yourself first. But there could be a case that that particular person is not going there expecting to get the job and wanting to do that technique to build their interview skills, but is the right person for you. And you have an opportunity to upsell them if you want to, right? But the point is you need to be able to sell the business. You need to be able to sell the role. You need to be able to sell why they should come and work for you, as well as just going through the interview process and asking them questions and thinking you're doing them some kind of favor here. You need to be able to have that first kind of thought process. We want to come back to this bit here. Why is recruitment hard? It's hard because you're trying to get people from where they're already comfortable and place them somewhere which is uncomfortable because it's unknown. So you need to be able to do this to be able to entice them out of that. And if you forget to do this and just think you're going in there with the mentality that I'm doing you a favor, then you're not going to do any of this and you may not get the right person into your role. Okay? You need to think about how else you can upsell the business. For things like that, I would think about what are the kind of things that you're doing at the moment in time that are really exciting? What are the projects you're involved in that are amazing, that would interest people? What is it? Where's the company going? Where's your vision of where you want to be? How does that inspire me? Career pathways. We spoke about those last week. So in terms of your career pathways, where could I go if I come on board with you? What's the investment in me? Do you give me any training? Do you upskill me? What other things do you do? Do I get the ability to work flexibly? Have I got the opportunity that potentially I could work around the pickups and drop-offs of my children? Can I work from home and do a hybrid working? Can I do working from home 2 or 3 days a week? What happens? How does that look like? Where's that fit? And how does that entice me to come from where I am? All of these things, remember we said those 4 things, benefits, putting aside annual leave and pension, always come up, could entice me. They help me to come across. And not all of them add up more money, right? Some of them cost nothing. Some of them cost a little bit. Some can cost a lot. But how do you entice somebody and sell them on reasons to come work for you? You know, simply put, one of the things that would really work, so some of our clients are charities. And for them, do you know what? It's really hard to hire people. They don't have the biggest budgets in the world. They can't really guarantee, full-time working all the time in some kind of cases. So how do you entice people to come and work for you in that particular role? And get the right people on that meet the ethos of what you're trying to do as a charity. You don't want just someone who, I want to be there, 9 to 5, collect my paycheck, thank you very much. That ain't the person you want, by the way. That's not who you're looking to get. But one of the things that charities do really well is they pull on the heartstrings as to why you give money to charities in the first place. So why do we donate to charities? They pull on those heartstrings. They have this vision. They have this mission of what they're doing, the people they're helping. You can physically see the impact of the work they're doing. If they're a good charity, that is, you can physically see what they're doing on the ground to help people. I mean, just look at what's happened in Turkey recently and how charities are at the forefront of that in terms of helping and supporting those people. It's that sector that comes in first to help everybody. Yeah. So in terms of things, they've got this great messaging, this great kind of pull and vision of what they're doing, that there's an intrinsic reward, that I can make a genuine difference here to people. I can do something and feel good about what I'm doing. And I'm part of that journey of contributing to that. That's some of the things really are good to sell. Doesn't I'm not saying these things equate to more than money. People are going to do things for free, obviously, but it's an overall package that you're looking at, and you're trying to sell people to come and work for you. Okay. Ultimately, the downside to this, which this is not a perfect world. There is a downside here. The downside is that if I have to sell to somebody to try and entice them to come work with me, it means maybe they're not really wanting to come work for me, but now they're feeling a little bit more obliged to do so. I don't want that. I want people that want to be here, because the people that don't want to be here, they're going to be part of my odds and sods problems in the future, because really, they never really wanted to be part of that family, part of your fold. And if that's the case, you're never going to have a good relationship. It's always going to be short term. And I'm not looking for short term relationships. I'm looking for long term relationships. I want a long term relationship, not a fling. So you want to be able to entice people for the right reasons, and you want them to want to be there as well. So there is kind of a middle ground playoff there, but you certainly have to sell yourselves. And you certainly can't go in with the methodology and the mindset process that you're doing someone a favor on an interview panel by giving somebody a job, or by even giving them an interview. I've done you a solid favor here. So I've done my bit. You now owe me. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot more you've got to give in this particular process. So just bear that in mind. Every time we're going through this, I want to come back to this. Why recruitment is hard. You've got to put in the hard work because it is so hard. Okay, right now, specifically. And then I want to think about, when we go to interviews, one of the things we always come up against, and I'm not saying not to do these, by the way, is talk me through your CV. Let's have a look at your qualifications. What experience do you have? How long have you worked in this industry? Have you worked in this industry before? A great one in the NHS, by the way, is, do you have NHS experience? Well, you've got to get in the bloody NHS to get the experience in the first place. If the first qualifying question is, have you ever worked in it? Well, that would rule out quite a lot of the population at the very beginning. Okay. Sometimes, just because you haven't got the experience of working in the NHS, which is a unique beast in its own right, by the way, that's why they ask that question. But it doesn't mean you don't have transferable skills that will enable you to work in the NHS. And sometimes having the right person and being able to give them that exposure and experience might be better than hiring the wrong person, but who had the experience of working in the NHS. It's that balance, okay? But you must measure the person. All too often, we go through recruitment processes and we will hire someone based on all of the quality and control kind of questions around whether they can do the job, maybe, but not about whether they're the right person for your business, for the team, for your clients. Just saying. You need to be able to focus on getting the right person into your business, not just any person into your business. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a great analogy that, I could have the best widget maker in the world. They could be awesome, terrific. They've got shit tons of experience in what they do. They've been doing it for years, in actual fact. They're the most qualified. And for whatever reason, they're considering working for us. This is astounding. They're the best widget maker ever. Dear God, thank you. But they're a complete arsehole. They're an absolute dick. They find it hard to get along with anybody. They're massively disruptive. They think the world owes them something. They're your biggest problem in terms of being able to manage them for their timekeeping or sickness absence or whatever the case may be. But you know what? They are the best widget maker ever in the world that's existed. But they don't fit within anything and they don't work well with other people. Why would you bring that person into your business? I would rather not have a person in my business filling that role than to get an asshole in who's great at what they do. Because they're just going to alienate everybody else. And it doesn't matter how good they are, it's not going to make up for the impact they're going to have in a negative way on everything else in my business. So if I just base things on their quality of what they can do, I could find myself having a great person who can do the job, but who's the worst person for my business and my team. Why would I want to do that? I already have a makeup of people here. Why would I want to bring any Tom, Dick, and Harry into my business to look after my baby? Why would I do that? So you've got to measure the person. And the best way, by the way, of measuring the person is looking at their values of who they are, their personality, and also those of yourself. Number one point here, another video again coming back, but the number one point here is when you're looking at values, a lot of businesses, I'd say about 90% of the businesses that we deal with either don't have any values, any core values in their business whatsoever, have values, but they're poor and they've been put down as like a marketing or some kind of other process that doesn't really meet the identity of the business, doesn't describe it at all. Or they have them in place, but no one knows about them. No one promotes it. It's just something that's on the board or on exec level, you know, in that kind of environment. That's what tends to happen. Now, if you don't have visions in place, that's what I'm talking about. If you don't have values in place in your business, ultimately, you're not creating. I'm doing it again. I'm hitting the microphone. If you don't have values in place in your business, then your business doesn't have a concrete personality that's fixed down. It means that when people come and work in your business is going to be a schizophrenic. Today, it can have one personality and be one way, but another day it could be another personality. You could have teams within your business that have their own unique cultures, their own unique values and everything else in that team under the business, meaning that if I go from one team to work in another team to another team, I can almost in 3 entirely different businesses. It's a schizophrenic business. There's no one kind of culture, no one sense of personality in anything. And that's a massive problem for you when you're measuring people and also in your business in general anyway. But that being said, you want to be able to see people don't have to kind of align perfectly. So our core values in our business, which are, you know, it's one of them's in our logo, for God's sake: simplicity, family, honesty, teams, humor. Those are our 5 core values as to who we are. So when you come in, they serve a purpose. And you should have something similar within your business that identifies who you are, that people can align to. They don't have to, I don't need to interview someone and say, so what's your values? Well, number 1, simplicity, family, honesty, humor, and teams. Whoa, that's perfect. That's amazing, right? You don't have to do that. It doesn't have to perfectly align. What we're looking for is who are you as a person? What are the core things you stand for? What are important? What things are important to you? There's no right or wrong answer on this, by the way, right? What are the things that are important to you? And then I need to make an assessment. How do those things add value to us? How do those things add value to the team? And does that fit in with the team? Would that kind of person fit in? You know, some teams a little bit laissez-faire. Getting in a perfectionist into that team, might not be a good mix if that's what you've got set up, or vice versa, the other way around, right? If they're really laid back, they're practically horizontal, but you've got a real committed team that are driven to perfectionism to do the best, they're going to clash, and it doesn't matter how good they are, they're not going to fit. So you need to look to measure the person's values, who they are, their identity, them as a person, as well as all their skill sets, qualities, qualifications, experience, exposure, blah, 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 blah. You want to measure the whole caboodle, basically, and make sure you've got the right person, the right fit for you in your business. That's the key thing here as well. You're not just measuring based on their ability to do the job. You're measuring them on their personality and whether they're the right person for you to do that job in your business and your team. Okay? So that's another crucial element. One of the things, oh my God, if I had a pound for every time, one of the biggest things that happens is that people they go out to recruitment and they feel that because I've gone out to recruitment, I've gone through this process. Maybe I've paid for freaking advertising or a recruitment agency to help me on this process. I'm already out of pocket. I've got to put somebody in this post because I need the job done. Well, the problem is if you bring the wrong person in, they'll be doing something, you would hope, to some kind of caliber, one would hope, but you're going to spend all your time then having to manage it. You're going to make a rod of your own back. You're going to swap one problem for another problem. You're still there spending your time dealing with something. It's so much easier to try and get the right person on. If you don't, no one you have interviewed fits the criteria, caliber, doesn't meet your avatar standards, doesn't meet the values that you think would fit within your teams and your business, you don't appoint them. You have a choice. You don't have to feel obliged to give them the job. You don't have to do that. You can recruit nobody. That is entirely an option here that is on the table. And what happens so often is that businesses feel an obligation as a manager. There's pressure on me to fill the vacancies in my team. There's a pressure on me because I am being measured by the success of my team and I'm a man or woman down. How can I fulfill what I've got to do if I don't recruit? I have to get somebody on board. But then you're going to spend all your time managing a problem because you end up getting the wrong person in the wrong role in the wrong business. And one bad apple spoils a bunch, and it takes a lot of effort, a lot of work, and a lot of time to resolve these problems. Before we can do anything, when we start working, a bit of a backdrop here, I'm going on a tangent now. I've really got the bit between my teeth, but I can't even say it, a bit between the teeth. So the big thing that we have here is we work on a cycle. Now, I would love to be able to say that I was, really, really all powerful and had knowledge beyond my years that helped me develop this particular kind of cycle that we have that works so well within businesses. The fact of the matter is I didn't. I fell on it. I fell on it because it happened repetitively. Every time we took in a client, same thing. New client, same thing. New client, same thing. Happens every time. It's the same cycle. Why? Because it's the same problems that happen in every business, regardless of what industry you're in or what background you're in, right? And that problem is we come in and we have a look. We lift up the hood, right? We have a look under there and we see the engine and we go, right, okay, we can see there's a problem, there's a problem. We can make a difference here that will give you better performance, make the vehicle faster. There's some functionality issues just under here, so we can tweak that and change that. And we can do all these different bits and pieces, right? So we've got all this working. This is fantastic. But before we can do any of it, before we can implement any change, before we can do anything that's going to make a difference to that organization, right, whatever type of organizational sector it's in, there will be what we call dead wood. We don't call them dead wood because of the other connotations you have. We look at a business like a tree. And as the tree grows, it sheds branches to help it to grow further. Now, if it kept that dead wood, it would restrict the growth of that tree. In fact, it could even kill that tree. So what we want to do is make sure we're removing the dead wood. It's poisonous and it's holding it back to enable it to flourish, grow, and bloom. That's what we want, right? That's what we want in your business, to grow and bloom. Well, if we keep this dead wood in place, it's not going to. And it doesn't matter what things we put in place to help it to grow and bloom, it's never going to get past the dead wood. The dead wood is the people that are in your business that are the wrong people in the wrong roles in the wrong freaking business. And they're there all the time. So before you can do anything that you've implemented, you've got to focus on creating and resolving these headaches and problems in businesses. And the reason that they were there is because you hired them, right? Now, like I said, this is not foolproof. Recruitment is not a foolproof process. It is fallible. 100% it is. The problem you have is if you take these people on, you feel obliged to put the wrong person in the wrong role. You don't measure the person whatsoever. But then over the distance of time of having them in your business, it becomes evidently clear that they're an asshole and they're not going to fit in within your team. Or perhaps you're a team of assholes and they're not going to fit within your team. Do you know what? It goes both ways, right? But in that situation, it's never going to work, right? So then you've got a problem. And then you sit on it and you sit on it and you sit on it and you sit on it. And that's on you. That's your responsibility. That comes down onto you in terms of your own performance. I'm sorry to tell you, but that's the truth. So you had an opportunity to measure correctly. When you found out you've measured correctly, you need to take steps to action on that. But there is the process of trying to get this right first time. That, in actual fact, was what we actually called this, and we thought that sounds a little bit kind of up ourselves, saying get it right first time, because it is fallible. You can't always get it right first time, but you need to measure the person to try and make sure you're doing everything you can within your power to try and make sure you are getting the right person first time. Okay. Then we come on to this next bit. My God, I got so passionate all of a sudden. Think beyond the interview. I just said a minute ago that if you get this is fallible. It happens. You can go through a recruitment process. You can recognize how hard it is. Take your time. Design a good avatar to the caliber and type of individual you're looking for filling this role. You can upsell your business as much as you can to this person to try and help and entice them, given it's a hard kind of process, to come away from where they are to come work from you. You can measure the person. You can do all the things we just told you and feel that actually this is a good person. This is a good fit. They've got all these qualities, all this experience. We've really hit a golden nugget here. This is amazing. Hire them. Take them on and then realize, because it is a fallible process, that what we call put your money where your mouth moment. They go and put their money where their mouth was when they were doing the interview process and what they upsold you on, and you realize it was all a crock of shit, or it wasn't quite what it was meant to be, or they haven't been able to pick up like you thought they would, or they didn't fit in like you thought they would. On paper, you thought it looked good, but in reality, it's actually just not that good at all. You pick that kind of process up. It's fallible. It happens. What do you do when it happens, though? That's the key point. If you pick it up and you brush that under the carpet and you just put that down there and leave it there, then you've just got this mound that everyone's tripping up over. It's a problem. You need to solve the problem. Our training course, hire slow, fire fast. Take your time to get the right person on board. Continue to measure that person after recruitment. The interview process is the beginning. It's not the end. It's the beginning. Okay? You should have a probationary period that's there in place. And even if you don't do that, which you should, but even if you don't, you should still be looking to measure the quality of that person, that role, against set objectives. We spoke about, again, previously, about setting standards. Measuring people by productivity, their activity, the output. You're investing money into a human asset. What's the return? What's the value add from that I'm getting back? I want to be able to measure that. To be able to measure that, I've got to set some solid, good objectives over that period of time, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, kind of probationary period that a person should be able to go through and hit and show. Remember, probationary period is to show your suitability for the role. That's the point of it. It's a continued linear process. It starts with recruitment and it ends with passing, hopefully, the probationary period. Your recruitment process could be 6 months long. And that's not including all the advertising crap you've done beforehand. Hence why it's so expensive to hire people with all these hidden costs. You're going to have to guide and nurture them over that period of time, measure them, meet with them, and go through and give them guidance to help them. It's in your interest to do that. If you spent this time and energy hiring someone into a role, into your business, you've got to give some time, give back to help them to meet the objectives that you're giving them. So you've got to measure beyond the interview. But if you find that the person you got in, because it is fallible, is the wrong person, it transpires, fine. We all make bloody mistakes in life, right? You can hire the wrong person. It happens. We've all done it. No matter how good you are, it happens. It's what you do after you recognize that it's happened. Do you sit on it? Do you push it? Do you move it to another team? Oh, that's another great one. Just move it on over. You've got to be able to take that forward and do something about it and take action. Otherwise, it's a fallible process and it happens. But then it's on your shoulders if you keep it. It's on your shoulders if you don't measure it, by the way, throughout that process. And you keep it to just this kind of an interview process. In you come, we expect the world from you, right? So, boys and girls, and everything else, everybody else, God. Look, thank you so much for being here with us today. I don't know why I'm doing the stretching right now. I have no idea what's going on. Look, thank you so much for coming along. If you're watching us live and you sat here through all of this right now, God bless you. Thank you so much for putting up with me. I know I'm a little bit much to deal with, but thank you. Thank you so much. If you're watching us back on a recording, I'd like to thank you too. But if you would like to listen to us and you feel it would be easier if you're walking your dog, sitting in your car, going on a drive or a stroll, and you want to listen to us on a podcast without having to watch it on a screen, then we're available on the podcast, available wherever you get your podcast from. And it's the HR Man. Search the HR Man, and there I will be. That is me. Hello. And I will see you soon. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful rest of your week, what's left of it, and weekend. And we will see you back here again next Thursday. Yeah. Come on. Let's go.